Have you been struggling in your marriage or your relationship? You feel like you want to run away, or you start feeling frustrated, like you're giving and not receiving what you put in. You start feeling tired and overwhelmed, like it's not worth it, and part of you just wants to give up. Marriage burnout is a real thing, and it not only happens in marriage, it happens in long-term relationships too. And although it's usually when what you put in you don't perceive getting back, so it's an unbalance of sharing emotional load, physical load of a relationship, it can be other things too. Now, before you start saying, well, for sure, or giving marriage burnout the reason why you're acting the way you do, I think it's important that you evaluate whether or not this is something you really are struggling with. So I'm going to give you the signs and symptoms that most marriage experts say happens when you're in a burnout situation in your marriage. The first, you have absolutely no motivation. You have no motivation to really give more, to do anything extra. Yes, you know marriage takes two people, but you feel like you've been giving. You're exhausted. You're frustrated. And so rather than doing anything, you just give up. The second thing is you feel hopelessness. You start looking at your partner in the relationship you created, and you start asking, how am I going to make this last forever? Do I even want this to last forever? If I'm this frustrated and tired now, how will I possibly continue for years like this? Thirdly, you might just be so tired. You have absolutely no energy. You're not sleeping well at night. You go to bed, you toss and turn, you get up, you're tired. You're tired throughout the day, you go to bed, and you're starting this same vicious cycle. Next, you have irritability and headaches. Headaches of all kinds, stress headaches, migraines. You're tired. You're just tired, and these headaches are part of the way your stress is manifesting in you. You're irritable. You don't like being around people. You're edgy. You feel resentful, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Why? And lastly, you're unfocused. You know that feeling that a lot of your friends say they're foggy? You'll hear about it in career burnout. Well, marriage or relationship burnout is very similar to that. You start feeling unclear. You dread going to work. You dread being at home in your relationship. You dread doing the things you used to do just to take care of yourself, or things like hobbies you used to do. You find no interest now. Rather than turning to your partner and saying, you're the problem, I'm not getting attention, or you're not putting in effort, I'm doing everything, it's important that you ask yourself a few questions. I always want the reflection of what's going on in a relationship to begin with you, because if you can identify what you're doing, what you're contributing, then you are in an active stage. You are in a place where you can make stages or changes. Whereas if you ask your partner, or blame your partner before you do your own work, then basically you're giving them the power of the relationship. You're saying you're the problem, and if you don't change, this relationship is going to end. Well, that's not how you should do this kind of thing, because once you give away your power, you have no action you can do that's going to make a difference. And this increases the frustration, the fogginess, and the tiredness. So here's some things I want you to reflect on. If you have one or more of these things, then I'm going to instruct you what you need to do. First of all, are there unclear boundaries? Do you have personal space and time to take care of yourself? Or are all the boundaries blurred? In other words, you have no scheduled time, because you should have scheduled time every day. Is there unresolved fighting, like the two of you are going around and around with the same argument and there's no resolution, and you don't feel closer after the fight? You start feeling worse and worse about your relationship. Is there a lack of support? Do you feel like when you compare your marriage to other people that you have no support at all? When you tell your partner something, are they on your side or are they against you? Is there romance in your relationship? Do you still feel feminine or masculine in your relationship? Do you feel like your partner appreciates you? Are they there for you? Do they want to kiss you? Are they giving you the attention and feeling desirous towards you as you want it to be? Are you bored? Are you just, your routine is so boring. You guys are doing nothing new. You feel like you come home and every day is Groundhog Day. It's the same thing over and over again. And lastly, is there a dysfunctional relationship pattern in your relationship? Are one of you addicted to a substance? Do you feel like you came from broken homes and you're repeating that cycle? Is there a cycle where you get into toxic fighting or you don't stand up or protect each other? Is there something going on with the in-laws and maybe you're feeling like you're disregarded or not as special as your partner with the extended family? Now, before you go to your partner, it's important you identify which of these is part of what you're feeling, and then you go to your partner, and the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to talk about it. You're going to have to sit down and talk to your partner about what you're feeling. It's not a bad idea to have them do this same reflection with these same questions, because they may be feeling this way too, but they've just not been able to find the resources or do what they needed to do to ask themselves. As you talk to your partner about what you're feeling, it's important you also take action and start a practice of self-care. By a practice of self-care, I mean every day there is time scheduled for your emotional health and your physical health. It may be taking a run and drinking a protein shake, or taking a walk and doing a meditation. Whatever it is, you need one of those things each day. So you're practicing 2 things every day and you have space and time to do it. Secondly, it's all about that talk. You need to be honest, you need to be vulnerable, you need to stay away from blaming your partner and rather use I statements saying, this is what I've discovered and this is what I'm going to practice doing now. Thirdly, you need to start confiding in each other. Instead of telling your best friends or your family about what your partner is doing wrong, you need to tell each other, I honestly feel like I'm overwhelmed. I feel like I'm doing everything. I feel like we used to be best friends and we're losing that. I don't feel the support I used to feel. And it's important that if your spouse hears this, they step up and go, well, how can I make you feel supported every day? And also don't forget to ask them that question, because some of the stuff you're doing may not be important at all. It's just that it's really important to you, but maybe you're over-identifying with the work task, and that's something the 2 of you can share. And then you can start serving each other in a way that's going to mean more to that person. Maybe something as simple as having coffee in the morning to your partner is everything. It gets their day started in the right path. And if you don't know those things, then that's going to be a problem in your marriage. Next, show appreciation. And I mean here, actions are more important than words. You can tell your partner, I'm grateful for you, or you can show them by doing the little things. Getting up early, making breakfast, giving the kids baths if you have kids, filling up their tank with gas, doing little things like scheduling a night out and making them feel really special, telling and showing their parents as well as all their family how much you adore them. Bring them home a little treat at the end of the day. These are all actions of appreciation, and this can revitalize a marriage that is on the verge of burnout. And lastly, create adventure and play. Your marriage is for the 2 of you to really create, and you can't create it if it's all work and no play. Take time to have an adventure. Make a 5-year vision plan. decide in that vision plan what the two of you want. And something as simple as taking one trip a year and making adventure in it, or doing something, taking a class together you've never done before. Something like this can reunite you, make you feel more supported and less isolated and alone. Feeling alone in a marriage can actually cause burnout because you need to share it. That's how the relationship was constructed in the beginning. You need to go back to that. Marriages are not just handed to you. You need to work on them together. If the problem still exists after you've practiced these, then it's important that the two of you decide our marriage is important. Let's go see a therapist. And at that time, you find a reputable therapist that you can work with, and that therapist can help guide you through this burnout stage so that your marriage isn't destroyed, but rather it's a good awakening that the two of you can wake up and go, okay, this marriage is important to us and we've got to put work into it. If this video was helpful to you, please subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. You guys mean the world to me.